Alright, so I'm going to take you through how to start a new session in IDS and then also how to do some PID monitoring, output state control. So first things first, here's the IDS screen. We got the app running. You can see in the bottom corner there's a little picture of this little red box. This is the VCM2, and this is the module that plugs into the data link connector and makes it so that the computer and the program can actually communicate on the network with the modules inside the vehicle. So go up here, start new session. Pretty much always going to be all other unless you're working on something very strange. So almost always going to be all other. We go down to the little check mark. They call it the tick mark in the STARS e-learning. Click that, and then the vehicle will, or the IDS will establish communication with the PCM. PCM has the VIN number of the vehicle programmed into it, so that's how the scan tool is able to identify what kind of vehicle it is communicating with. If you don't get success on that, double check to make sure that you get this little lock and the picture of the VCM2. If you don't, then it means you're having a communication issue. Maybe you got a bad cord or a bad USB port on the computer. The scan tool runs a network test, but it doesn't really give you the information from that network test. It's just trying to communicate with a bunch of different modules. It shows you the information about the vehicle, the model, engine information, transmission information, emissions information, model year. I've never had that be wrong on a vehicle before. The things that could cause this to be wrong is there's an aftermarket tune that's been uploaded into the PCM that's going to make it so that you're not really going to be able to communicate with the vehicle. You'd have to get it back to stock. Maybe someone put a junkyard PCM in the vehicle. That could show up with bad information on this as well. So always make sure that that's right before you proceed, but it almost always is. Alright, so now we actually have started the session. I got my nice little VIN number down here. It's got vehicle mileage, all kinds of good stuff. Go up to the toolbox, and we're going to go to Data Logger. Data Logger is where you'll be able to view PIDs. If we did self-test, we'd be able to run codes on a module. So you could do powertrain, body. We're doing lighting stuff right now, so if there was anything lighting in there, which it doesn't seem to be. But let's stick with the mission. Go to Data Logger, and there we go. Here's some lighting stuff. Let's go into lighting. We could also choose by the module itself, but they make some of these little pre-made options so that it makes it a little bit easier for you if you don't know exactly what module controls the lighting. So it's thinking, and then it goes, and no matter what you choose, it's going to make all these selections for you. I always just erase them because I want to make my own choices. So we've got like backup, lamp switch status, so that'd be like, are we in reverse? Fog lamps, daytime running lights. I'll click a couple of these. High beam switch status, low beam switch. Alright, so let's use these. You can kind of go crazy and pick whatever you want to. But once this wakes up, so you can see the status, like let's say I hit my high beam switch, you see how it turns to on, and I let off and it turns back off. Low beam switch, I believe would be, yeah, there we go. So I'm just turning the headlights on. And then this PID right here, you see how it has the little hashtag next to it, or the pound symbol? That means we can output state control it. So if I click on that hashtag here, for some reason you have to hit the finger pushing the button, but it just is something that has to happen. And then the up and down arrows will change it. So you see how I have now been replaced with an @ symbol. This means that that I am in control of this PID, this output, and I can turn my fog lamps on. I can turn them back off. And turn them back off. So this would be a way that I could actually test to see, oh, is it the switch that's bad, that's not working, or is it the wires, or maybe the bulb itself? I'm just telling the module to make the decision with the scan tool instead of it seeing me turn a switch on and then making the decision. So I'm going to leave control over that. Now, if this turned into an exclamation point when I tried to do that, it would mean that there was some sort of condition making it so I couldn't control whatever this output is. So in some cases, like if I was trying to control a transmission, it wouldn't let me control it if the vehicle was running because it doesn't want me to hurt it. But with the key on, the transmission, I can turn on some of the actuators and stuff inside of it. And so if you see that exclamation point, it means there's some reason why you can't control it. And sometimes it could be there's an actual a fault or a failure or a code or something like that that's limiting your ability to do that. Now, let's say I want to get back out of this. I got these buttons on the bottom. If I click this one, it'll bring me back to my selections. If I click this one, I can choose a different module basically to look at PIDs through. So I'm going to go straight to the modules, and I'm going to go to the GEM, which is an old school body control module. See down here on the bottom, it gives you, if you click on anything blue, it gives you whatever the definition is for the acronym that's up on the screen. So I'll hit tick. That'll bring me to the inside of the GEM module. And this will give us many more options than what just the exterior lighting did. So on this, I think we should still be able to see things like our fog lamps. This is all alphabetical, so let me remember my alphabet. Yep, so there's fog lamps right there. So it's that other section that we were in was showing me just like a curated list of PIDs. This is all the PIDs that I can either monitor or control. And you can see how anything with that little hashtag after it is controllable. So I'm going to go back to the toolbox. I want to do a self-test. And let's say I want to do a self-test on that GEM module, since that's what controls the lights. Hit the tick mark. It's going to tell me all the things that need to happen so that I don't get weird codes, or so that I can actually perform the test. Like, here's a weird one: the washer fluid reservoir must be more than half full. That's because if it's below, there's a sensor in it that can tell that I'm low on washer fluid, and it'll actually show a code in there if that sensor is telling me that I need to put washer fluid in the reservoir. So just be kind of mindful of some of that stuff when you're looking at codes. Sometimes you get codes that don't actually mean anything. You may have heard it just tooted the horn, so it's doing some output tests of its own. You might see lights turn on and off and hear some clicks and stuff like that. So I've got some on-demand codes. Oil pressure switch failure? Uh-oh. Well, this is talking about oil pressure in the engine. Engine's not running, so that's why I have a switch failure, because it's not seeing oil pressure. Auto lamp delay circuit short to ground. That's because I've got the auto lamp switch turned on, so the switch is shorted to ground because that's how the switch works. Parking brake switch circuit shorts to ground. It's because I have the parking brake turned on. Headlamp switch multiple signals input active. So I think again that's because I've got the auto lamps turned on. So all of these codes, like, granted this car doesn't have any issues with it that I'm aware of, but all of these codes could lead you down some like weird rabbit holes where you'd actually find out that nothing's wrong with the vehicle. So be mindful of that stuff. And I think if I had read more about what conditions I need to put this vehicle into to run this self-test, I probably could have shown up with none of these codes, but instead I just kind of ran with it. Alright, so this will be the introduction to using the scan tool for you, and I hope it goes well.